What's up, YouTube, and welcome to part 3 of my best cheap fragrances. The first part I brought you 6 fragrances. Part 2 I brought you 6 fragrances. So to avoid any curses in the playlist, I'm bringing you 7 for this one. So kicking off the list, jumping right into it, we're going to start with Lacoste Noir. They put the emphasis intense on this because it is a beast juicy fragrance. It starts off with a luscious note of watermelon and dries down to an interesting chocolate note, which creates a contrast in the transition from the opening to the dry down. A lot of consumers in fragrance shops, when smelling this for the first time, can be put off by this just because they will fall in love with that sweet juicy opening that's just really good, really smooth, and then the dry down, the dark chocolate notes creep in and it creates a more warm, gourmandish kind of feel, which is not bad, but it's just a complete 180 from the initial opening. But if you know what you're getting into, this is such an awesome, interesting scent to purchase. You can find it on eBay for the 20s. So if you're looking for a really good, just awesome scent for your, $20, $25 purchase, to come next, Lacoste Noir is an awesome choice for that. Coming up next, I got Jordan Legend, and this one is similar to Rochas Man. It has an anise note in there, but it kind of dives into that cappuccino-ish blend of things like Rochas does without the raspberry emphasis. There's none of that raspberry sweetness in there, but it's overall very rich, and it's eau de cologne as well, eau de cologne in concentration. So it's one that you could splash freely, not be too worried about, overwhelming in the synthetic quality just because the eau de colognes are lighter. However, with this one, it is strong enough as is. So while you may not overwhelm in the synthetic department, you may overwhelm just by layering your scent too much. So be careful with this one because olfactory fatigue will kick in. You will start spraying a lot, and then all of a sudden you got this beast dosed aroma around you and you don't even know it. But Jordan Legend is good just because, like I said, it has good performance for an eau de cologne. For those of you who think eau de colognes last 30 minutes to 2 hours, that's completely wrong. You can't generalize fragrances like that. That's a beginner thing to do, such as saying eau de toilettes only last 2 hours, 4 hours, things like that. All eau de perfumes last 6, 8 hours. That's not true at all. You always gotta take it by the individual fragrance and the composition. That's just how it goes. The expert practices discretion always. So taking in the number 6 spot, Jordan's Legend. Coming up next, you got Halston Amber, and this is one that was given to me by a friend, Alan. He found it in, I believe, Ross or TJ Maxx for about $6. Excellent choice right here. In terms of a cheapie, it has an oud note in it, so it makes it, besides the bottle design, which is awesome, it makes it a great addition to your collection just so you could experiment with, oudy fragrances, things like that. So the main emphasis of this fragrance is, of course, amber, but it is complemented with those other things, those other notes, to just give it a really nice balance to it. A lot of people say it smells lumberjackish, but it is just the oud in there that gives it a little bit of girth, a little strength. And overall, I really like this fragrance. I wear it a lot to go to bed just because it is smooth, relaxing. It's slightly sweet. I get this kind of butterscotch candy-ish smell from it, but that's just from the top. And overall, it's just a really good addition for the price. I think online it is going for a little bit more, but if you can find it in the discounters, definitely pick it up. It is a steal. Coming up next, you got Hugo Boss Orange, and this is a misleading fragrance because it has no orange notes in it. The main players in this one is apple and vanilla, but it is done very well to the point that it's not overwhelming, it's not potent, you don't get a big smack of vanilla or apple to the face. It just smells like a nice blended fall fragrance. However, it is light enough to wear in the heat. So that's why I really like this fragrance, because it allows for the opportunity to, wear apple or vanilla in, hot environments. AKA, I wore this fragrance in Vegas 2018, and although Vegas was burning hot, this fragrance just smelled awesome in the heat lingering in the air, where the apple was just tart, crisp, but not too heavy, it wasn't too potent, and the vanilla was there to smooth it all out. So overall, this was a great purchase. I picked up this small, tiny bottle for around $10. You could pick up the bigger size for around $20 in stores or online. You just gotta hunt around. But pretty solid performance on this too, 5 to 6 hours. This is gonna be Hugo Boss Orange. There is no orange notes in this one, keep that in mind. Coming up next is a fragrance I absolutely fell in love with, and it was given to me as well by my good friend Howie, and this is CK Reveal. One that when I first got it, I just kind of dove into it. When I first smelled it before I got it, it was a fragrance that I was comparing a lot of fragrances to. This is a rum and tonka kind of based fragrance where it opens up I'm gonna say it straight up. Could almost be looked as a cheaper version of CH Man Privé, just because it does the boozy, seductive sweetness thing very, very well. But you do get a big dose of tonka in it, and it is a little bit synthetic and kind of, the outer regions when you're smelling it kind of too close, and all of it just comes together at once at you. But when you distribute it further away, you layer it across more evenly, and allow the fragrance to just kind of sit on you and let it do its thing, let it drift. And instead of forcing it on people by spraying too heavy, just spray a little bit of, just one or two times, just get it on there, splash an even mist on you. Just do that so the fragrance will just kind of settle and linger around you, so that when people pick that up, instead of a forced heavy spray dosage, that is going to smell awesome and well balanced versus a huge synthetic mess. So this is a fragrance that you got to be craftier with it. You got to be more respectful with it. But when done right, it just smells fantastic, and it has great performance. That is usually the trade-off with synthetic fragrances. They are usually more synthetic so that you could reduce the price, and they're extending performance in some way or another so that they've got to use high quality ingredients and such. But when you do have these synthetic fragrances, remember, a more even distribution is recommended, and it will smell better than a more potent synthetic burst from one spot. So take a look at that CK reveal. You can look it up on YouTube. There's other reviews on it, because overall, man, it's a banger. People love it. Check it out. And then coming up next, number 2, you got Tommy Bahama Compass. An awesome fragrance right here. And this one actually is like a more, I don't want to say hollow, it's just a lighter version of Invictus. It smells like Invictus, but a very, very light version of it. Very aquatic in nature. This is another eau de cologne that you could just spray heavy. And I used to wear this one at the gym a lot, just because it was one that wouldn't pump off me too heavy. It's not going to protrude its scent, and it's not going to stick. I was able to spray it lightly and just create a nice little aura around me that's not going to offend anybody else. So if you want something that's like a cheaper Invictus, this is a great alternative right here. If you want something that's a fresh eau de cologne that you can just splash heavy, great option right here. A cheap freshie, great option right here. Tommy Bahama's Compass, great fragrance right here, very underrated. So putting it over highly for this video, number 2 spot. Even though with these videos there's really no rankings, but I like to build up suspense. So taking up the number 1 spot is a fragrance that is awesome, and that's gonna be Dunhill Desire Blue. Fragrance that opens up with the lychee note that's really unique and a bit exotic in nature. Let's say you was rocking a lychee based fragrance. For this story's example, it's going to be Bond Number 9 Indigo whatever. The one that has lychee in it, I was wearing a Bond Number 9, and when I went to a bar and the smoke combined with all that, it smelled very, to describe it, my homegirl said I smelled like brujeria. So be careful with the lychee note. If you don't know what that means, it's kind of like witchcraft. When you combine lychee and incensey, smoky smells, you kind of get that effect. But not that this is in this fragrance, just giving you an example of what happens when you combine a fragrance such as this with, that kind of environment. You're going to give off different vibes. But to speak on Dunhill Desire Blue on its own, it opens up with that lychee, citrus, and a little bit of lotus in the opening that keeps it very clean, very fresh. And it's one of those old school fragrances that holds, it sticks, so you could expect good performance off of this one. In the middle and the heart, you got a marine note in there that just adds that aquatic, oceanic freshness to it, and it keeps the fragrance bold, it keeps it, adventurous, it keeps it fresh and wild and strong, and it's awesome. In the base, you got a strong note of musk as well. But Dunhill fragrances, especially the old ones, they really put in, nice hefty doses of these notes, and that really adds to the longevity factor of these fragrances. But along with the musk, you got this tonka and amber combination that really smooths it out. So while you got this fresh, vigorous musk playing, you do got those to smooth it out and, not make it so musky. When you're talking about musk, you're talking that strictly fresh skin freshness protruding from the fragrance when it's sprayed on you. And yeah, the amber, the tonka should do a fantastic job of just balancing the fragrance and the dry down. However, this is one that, my bottle's a little lower, so I haven't seen it too recently, but around 2 years ago, it was around online and in stores for around 20-30 bucks. So it's just an amazing cheapie to dive into right here. Taking in the number 1 spot for the video, Dunhill Desire Blue. So that's going to close off the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.